after 2,000 votes for George Bush, having been co-chairman in this state of the state committee, not only for George Bush, but as you all remember, for Richard Nixon. Because he could not win against Pat Toomey, who I will face in the general election, if we are to win. I frankly have to tell you, I disagree with the Democratic establishment. President Obama showed us you do not gain the White House or elective office, that really if you are intending to serve the people because of political calculation, but rather because of audacity. I firmly believe that. I don't believe we're Rendelites or Bidenites. We are Democrats. We must be able to have somebody on the bench who actually believes and is shown by a record, however short it might be, that they are in it for the working family. This great state of ours is tremendous. And yet, in the last 30 years, during Arlen's tenure, and it's not his fault, I just don't think the status quo is acceptable, nor did this president across this nation. We have had less than half the increase of jobs that's the national average. Our poverty rate, despite the nation's going up 0.4%, has gone up about, I think it's 1.5%. We are the second oldest state in this nation, because the job opportunities have been a lot more difficult. I understand Pittsburgh, gone down 79% in manufacturing. This state, I think it's 48 or 58%, but the national average is 30%. But there's so much opportunity out there. The Marcellus Shale, if we make sure that the Halliburton loophole is closed, and probably most of you know, Arlen Specter voted that we are not permitted to know the chemicals they put in the water for millions of gallons for 1 week to frack and get that water. How can special interest influence so badly our politicians? Where in West Virginia they actually put a 4% excise tax on it, and we cannot, despite Ed Rendell trying. I truly believe that this president needs more allies in the Senate particularly, where people are not worried about their jobs, where there is this principled compromise, but there can never again, if we are to do the next great bill, have a compromise like we had at the end, where Ben Nelson, one of us, took home to Nebraska to a special interest, something to get his vote. And so, I promise you that I'm going to continue for the next 7 years doing exactly what we began doing at 5:30 this Monday. We left, and we haven't stopped. We left one morning, 3 a.m., arrived in the snow in Johnstown, came here in Pittsburgh just a couple days ago, continued all the way up to Erie and left there at 10:30 p.m. and arrived at 5 a.m., 2 hours sleep, a little less for a 7 a.m. appointment. I would never back down in this race because the stakes are too high in this state. I got into Congress never, ever even wanting to think about running for Senate because, frankly, the Keystone State's pretty big. But you go around this state like I did in July, and you have, as I tell everyone, a farmer come up to you, and I'll never forget it. He said, when I asked, how's the recession? He said, it's not too bad. I was hurting so much already. We're tremendous. I saw those kids in the military be everything. And if anybody doesn't think they're not great, it just hasn't worked with them in the right template of responsibility and accountability. But I'm fearful that without a significant change in leadership, as well as approaching the right policies with courage, we will not achieve what we have to under this president. I'll stop. I'll take questions on anything. But most of all, thank you for putting this on tonight and giving me an opportunity to talk. You're going to see me a lot around Pittsburgh until you're a little tired of me. Thank you.
Okay, folks, questions? I mean, now is your opportunity to find out where Joe stands on many of the issues that are impacting not only us as Pennsylvanians, but us in this country today. Shirley, you had your hand up.
Yes. If you leave the House, then we have one less vote in the House.
If I leave the House, she said, we have one less vote in the House. Here's what's happened since Arlen has been senator. My district had him vote for the largest education cut in the history of this nation. He voted 4 times against Pell Grants, preventing them from passing, including one just for $200. He hangs in his office a poster twice as big as that window that says Bill Clinton's big government health care plan that he took around this nation with Bob Dole and stopped the Clinton health care plan dead in its tracks. He hands it up as a trophy, and now 1 million Pennsylvanians, many of them in my district, are suffering because they don't have health care. He voted so that teachers could not have training programs 6 times. He voted against decreasing the size of classrooms 7 times. He voted so the people in my district had all their savings played with and gambled away. He voted for that tragic misadventure in Iraq where I had people in my district die in a war that we should not have been in. We need a better senator to help my district. I honestly believe those who sit there and think that our bloodlines in the Democratic Party are strong, if only those from a safe seat go there, rather than a warrior who came in and in a 55% Republican, 33% Democrat district and won in 8 months, raising over $3.5 million in 8 months, and I'm a neophyte in fundraising. And then the second time I ran, because we work hard, 53%, 35% only changed 2, we didn't spend a dime on radio, TV, ad. We put out yard signs because they may not always agree with me, as you may not always agree with me, but they felt I wouldn't betray their trust. Imagine a senator across this state that can help my district to the opposite way the last 30 years that my district has been affected. I'm running for my district because a senator can do so much. Or
so you're saying you can do more as a senator than as a representative?
Without a question. Let me give you an example. I'm on Defense Committee also.
Can you repeat the questions, please?
Can I do more? I think I can do more as senator than as a representative, which is not the reason I ran, but to answer the question without question. For example, I moved by finding some defense programs, because I'm on the Armed Services Committee. I am on 3 committees, you normally get 2. And I'm on 2 health subcommittees, so the bill would go through me. 1 for small business, 1 for education. I moved the first money in autism in the federal government in 12 years. 12 years we haven't moved an additional cent into autism. But I found 2 defense programs, showed that they had to be canceled because they were unnecessary, and moved $27 million in 2 years ago. Last year, I moved $50 million in, and the Senate took it out. Because I had a senior in my district who was beat 6 times with a belt buckle who had Alzheimer's, and another one who had dementia was defrauded $40,000 6 months before he passed away, I looked in research and found Pennsylvania has had an increase between 2005 and 2006 of elder abuse. Did you know that? So I had the first bill passed in the House of Representatives in 17 years on elder abuse. It died last session in the Senate and the session before. Where's our type in the Senate? Name me the great issue Arlen Specter is associated with. That's a question for you. So can I do more for my district and this state? I wouldn't be getting in unless I felt it was necessary to have